Hi guys, it's Candy. Welcome back to Our Family Nest. So I am so happy to be sharing with you guys all of the videos, no, not videos, books, all of the books that I read in the month of March. The first stack of books that I have here are all of the books that I read to create the video of reading the most hyped up books of 2022. And so I'm not going to get very detailed into these books. I will link that video down below if you want to if you want to hear me talk about what each of them are about. Boy, I can't get my words straight today. But I am going to go through and just give you my rating on these books just to make this a complete March reading wrap up. All right, Twisted Love, I actually read. I started this when I was on vacation in Punta Cana, and I really liked it. It was a quick, pretty, easy, flowy read, almost kind of close to like a Colleen Hoover book, just written very nice, natural. It's romance, it's spicy romance, and I gave this book a 4. This is book 1, Twisted Love of the Twisted series. And I don't know actually how many books are out of this series so far, but I do have book 2 as well, and I do plan on reading that soon. I don't know if I'll read it this month, but probably definitely next month, because I heard book 2 is even better than book 1. And then I read Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow, and I gave this one a 4 as well. This book it's romance, but very light on the romance, more heavy on like career, relationships, grief, life struggles, and it covers like a long period of time. This is weird. It's very different than any book that I would normally read, but I liked it. I found it pretty entertaining, and I definitely was intrigued to see how it was going to end. I didn't absolutely love the ending, but I still gave it a 4. All right, Flicker in the Dark, one of the most read thrillers of 2022, in my opinion. I gave this a 3.5. The rating was decent. The first part of the book is kind of slow. It picks up, it gets pretty good, however, very predictable. I guessed all the twists. And then I also read Lessons in Chemistry. It's about this woman in the 60s and about how women are treated so unfairly. They don't get equal pay, equal rights, all that kind of stuff. In this book, there are definitely some funny elements in this book, but at the same time, there was just so much of it that was so boring and not interesting to me, so I gave this one a 3. This book that I read was actually on my Kindle. It was by Penelope Douglas, and it was called Birthday Girl. And we read this book for the book club that I have. Everybody really likes Colleen Hoover, but we found, especially myself, I've read almost all of her books, and we were trying to figure out one that all of us hadn't read, and we couldn't come up with one. So we were like, let's read Penelope Douglas. A lot of people say, if you like Colleen Hoover, you'll love Penelope Douglas. Well, their writing style is a little bit different. Penelope Douglas is definitely a little bit more spicy and detailed in her books. I have read Punk 57 by her, and those were kids in high school, and it was pretty detailed, like the makeout scenes, sex scenes and stuff. So if you like that kind of thing, I feel like check out her books. I didn't know if I would enjoy this book that much when I read what it was about after my friend had picked it out for the book club. I was like, oh, I don't know. This is giving me weird kind of vibes because it has this age gap. I believe the guy is 38 and the girl's 19, and she's dating the son and then ends up having an attraction to the father, and they move in with him. Majority of the book is just very long, drawn out, sort of chemistry between the two of them that they're both avoiding, but it's good. The writing is good. It kept me intrigued. I read it pretty quickly. I recommend that book by Penelope Douglas. If there's any other of her books that you guys think I need to read, or give me your thoughts on Credence, should I add that to my list, let me know in the comments below. You guys, I read Slammed. I started it in the evening, and then the next day I was reading it while I ate lunch and could not stop reading. I read it in less than 24 hours. Point of retreat, I read maybe 30, 40 pages during the day yesterday, went to bed about 11 o'clock, and did not go to sleep until I finished this book. Now, you know, Colleen Hoover books are pretty quick reads. Her writing style just flows so naturally, but oh my God, I love these books. I finally understand why the covers are a butterfly. I'll be reading This Girl tonight. I probably could have waited until I read This Girl to film this little clip and just talk about them all at once, but I'm just so blown away. I had no idea going into it that Slammed was Colleen Hoover's first book, and I love that they're not super heavy on the romance. So Slammed is basically about a family of a mom and a teenage daughter. She's 18, and her brother, I think he's maybe like 9. And they move from Texas to Michigan. The dad had recently just passed away, and so for financial reasons, the mom moves the family to Michigan. So right away, right when you first start out reading and they're moving into their home in Michigan, Lakin, or as they call her, Lake in the book, Lakin meets Will, the 21-year-old neighbor from across the street. Instant chemistry. They go out on a date. She apparently has the best day she's ever had in her life. And while she hated the idea of having to move to Michigan, now she loves it there. Unfortunately, a couple days after their first date. So unfortunately, I think it's like a couple days after their first date, they immediately find out there's this huge reason why they cannot date one another. And then also some secrets come out with the mom. Here she actually lied about why they had to move to Michigan. So then they have to deal with that whole big thing. The one thing about this book that is just so fun is there's a lot of poetry. So they go to this thing on Thursday nights where it's called like a slam. You have to get up in front of this room of people and kind of compete against other people by reading your poetry or putting on some sort of like verbal performance. And it was really cool. I enjoyed that kind of unique aspect to the book, but it's just so good. So the second book is Point of Retreat, and honestly, I don't even know how I could really tell you what this book is about without giving the like ending of the first book away, but let's just say it is a continuation of Lake and Will's kind of relationship, all the hardships that they've gone through, and basically all the hardships have just begun, because here when they think things are kind of looking better and brighter for their futures, they run into even more hardships that kind of tear them apart. The nice thing is Slammed is written from Lake's point of view, and then Point of Retreat is written from Will's point of view. So that makes it really interesting. I did find, because I read the books so close together, that sometimes when I was reading, I would get confused, like, wait, who is saying this? Because it would say like and I was thinking Lake, because that's, you know, I had to keep reminding myself, no, this is Will's point of view.
So guys, I wanted to share with you my thoughts on This Girl by Colleen Hoover. I only gave it 3 stars, and it's so disappointing because I really loved the first 2 books so much, but unfortunately this book, it's kind of like a going back in time, telling you everything from when Will and Lake first met from Will's point of view. And it's interesting because I'm thinking, are there a lot of authors that do that with their books, where they write like additional books and it's just kind of like a repeat of another book but from a different character's point of view? Like, drop those authors or book names below, because I feel like in all my years of reading, Colleen Hoover is the only author that has done this. She did it with the Hopeless series. Now she's doing it with this one, and I'm wondering if the Maybe series is the same thing, because there's 2 books like this and then a smaller one. It just leads me to believe that maybe there's some going back in time retelling of a different point of view, and I just don't really enjoy it. There is like a back and forth between chapters of current time, but it all occurs in like a 24-hour period, picking up where book 2 left off. But like I said, just one day. And those chapters lead to the conversations of how things happened from the very beginning in book 1. So just bummed, because I love the 2 characters. I would have loved to hear a continuation of what happens next. It does have a really good epilogue at the end that does give you a sneak peek to where the characters are several years later. That I really appreciated, but overall though, this just was not my favorite. It was just, I was disappointed because I expected something completely different.
All right guys, so next book that I have finished for this month is The Soulmate by Sally Hepworth. If you've not read any of her books before, she writes a really good thriller. I've read several of her books. None of them have ever disappointed. I rated this one 4.5 stars. So it is about this couple who moves into this house that is near a cliff, where it is like a popular spot known for people going there to commit suicide. And it's pretty creepy right from the beginning, because this couple has young children and they still decide to buy this house, which seems insane and probably unrealistic. They end up putting a fence up, but even still, their house is near this ledge. And several people have gone there in the past, and the husband has always gone outside and been able to talk people out of it. He's just this really kind soul. I guess when you just look at him, comforting, and he's saved many people. The book starts out that there's a woman. She appears at the edge. He goes out to talk to her. So the wife looks up at like the last second and sees basically the girl falling over the cliff, and she just swears her husband's hands are like, it looked like they were either pointed up and out, like almost towards the sky. Like she cannot get it out of her head that it looks like her husband pushed this girl. So moving forward, you have the husband who's going through all this emotional turmoil because he feels like he wasn't able to save this girl, and he's always been able to save everyone. And the wife who can't get it out of her head that she thinks something's fishy, like she thinks her husband pushed her, and it's just one twist after another. The way it all connects, I was totally shocked, surprised, did not figure out the ending on this one at all, and I really enjoyed it. Quite the page turner, so highly recommend. The last book that I read in March is Georgie All Along, and I don't know why every time I think of this book I want to say Georgie All the Way, but that is not the name of it. I enjoyed this book. It was kind of hard to finish. I only gave it 3 stars, which I don't know, what does 3 stars mean to you guys? I feel like it's still a good book. It's just not like rush out and go get this. Like, yeah, it was good, just not my favorite. So basically this book is about Georgie, clearly, who wants to find herself again. And it is about her rediscovering herself. Basically, she gets let go from her job. She comes back home. Her parents end up being on vacation, so she's gonna stay at their house. Her best friend is about to have her first baby, so she goes to her best friend's house. She's married, and they're like going through a room, and they find this, like, it's kind of like a diary, but they refer to it as like fanfic, which is so annoying because they keep calling it fic through the whole book. And it's basically this book that they wrote, or stories that they wrote, of like things that they wanted for themselves in the future. I think they wrote it when they were, was it high school or college? I think high school. And it gives Georgie this idea of, why did I not like work harder to make these dreams of mine come true? So she works on kind of like almost completing her bucket list, so to speak. In the meantime, there's also a guy, ends up being this guy that her dad hired to stay at their house to take care of their plants and stuff while they were on vacation. Totally forgot that Georgie was gonna be there. He was there. It's cute. I mean, it's like a cute story. It starts out really good, and I have these like high hopes because I feel like romance books, like you just either know right away it's gonna be good or just corny. Just got slow, like in the middle. And then it got good at the end. It had a really good, lighthearted, sort of refreshing, joyous ending. Still only just gave it 3 stars. And yeah, that wrapped up my reading for the month. So I ended up reading 10 books this month, and I would say my favorites were Slammed and Point of Retreat. Oh, chef's kiss, amazing, amazing. The Soulmate, I definitely enjoyed quite a bit. And then I did enjoy Twisted Love. I'm still excited to read book 2 of that series. And then next up would probably be the Tomorrow. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make it a great day, and we'll see you next time. Bye.